Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures. And today we're going to be doing another episode of our kind of future of Jurassic World Evolution 2 kind of little video series. So this is going to be the second one. This is the updates one. So this is what will be coming, I believe, in the free updates, or what I think should be coming in the free updates. So yeah. So this is for Jurassic World Evolution 2, the free update speculation. Just be aware there's some spoilers, minor spoilers for some parts of obviously Jurassic World Dominion, since that's still kind of in theaters, I think, or nearing its end. Any spoilers for any movies, though I assume because you've obviously liked Jurassic World Evolution, you must know at least some about the movies. But yeah, really awesome, so we're going to get started. So this is what we've got from the past update content, and kind of use it as a frame to see what kind of things we can expect. So for free update 1 that came with the early Cretaceous pack in December last year, we got the building sets for Department of Fish and Wildlife and Jurassic Park. So that was a big update. We got like a version for the aviaries and lagoons and things like that. So that was a pretty good update. We also got flattened sandbox levels, so we could make sure that any sandbox level was flat and make sure and use that to pretty much just make whatever we want instead of having the normal curvature of the map. There's also the campaign sandbox level, so you could have the maps from the campaign in sandbox, which was pretty awesome from the campaign. And rock perches as well, that was for the pterosaurs, so they can, instead of just flying around and landing on the station things, viewing galleries, they can come and perch in your enclosures as well on those rocks, which is a very good addition. And then there are also some balance changes to things like pack hunting, so you couldn't kill a Brachiosaurus with a pack of 4 velociraptors, because that's honestly ridiculous. But it's really nice that they managed to make some changes just to really make the game a bit more realistic or a bit more manageable. And then we got with the Camp Cretaceous Dinosaur Pack, we got free update 2, so there were some big changes to Sandbox, so you didn't have to play through the campaign and Chaos Area to unlock everything for Sandbox, for the most part. There was also changes in incubation, so you could slow it down to up to 10%, which is very helpful. Placeable trees were also added, though they were restricted to each biome. We also got the first-person view, which was really awesome. So we could walk around in the first person, like we're a person walking across the parks, and that's something everyone had been wanting for both Planet Zoo and Jurassic World Evolution, so it was really awesome that we got that. We also got the species viewer, so the species viewer was how we can view the skins and the different combinations in the menu, though I'll mention that we probably should have got it in the hatch review. And then there are also various quality of life improvements and DLSS and things like that, so just some minor things. And with this most recent pack, we got the Jurassic World Dominion Biosyn expansion. We have got the Chaos Series maps and challenge modes that came up with their own challenges and things like that. I thought that was pretty cool. We also got this new mechanic dinosaur wrangling, which was pretty useful actually in both the campaign and the Chaos area of the mode, and it'd be cool to see it in more updates since. There was also park tour and transport, so what came with that update, you were able to connect park tours and things like that to buildings, so you didn't necessarily need to use paths, which was a really cool thing for people that really want to try and make their games kind of like as kind of site B-ish as possible, you could say. You could try and minimize the amount of buildings and things to have a park that looks like as most like wild as you could say, or site B-ish you could say. And there were also various quality of life improvements, just the same as free update 1.2 or free update 2. So yeah, that was all pretty awesome. So yeah, so what we know, this is quite similar to what we know, of course, from the story DLC one. So we get 4 packs per year, with 2 smaller dinosaur packs and 2 larger story packs, which are spaced out every 3 months. And based on the typical DLC rollout for Planet Zoo, Jurassic World Evolution 1, etc., that's what we can kind of expect. So a free update comes with each of these. Jurassic World Evolution 2 came out late 2021, with Jurassic World Dominion releasing mid-2022, so in June. With 3 DLC packs already out and support confirmed for at least the next 12 months. So this means that 2 more dinosaur packs and 2 story DLCs, matching the 18 to 20 month cycle of Jurassic World Evolution 1, unless support is extended to 3 years or so, like Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster, which is I find unlikely, or I consider unlikely, because this is a game that Frontier is making for Universal. Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster were both properties of Frontier, so that's kind of their own game. This is the game they've been making for Universal, though of course it's still been alright so far. So other things, potentially small DLC or free additions like the Raptor Squad or the Nasutoceratops in Jurassic World Evolution 1 that could be added when other JP media comes out, so things like Nothosaurus from Camp Cretaceous, along with possibly Sinoceratops, since that had a pretty integral part in the show. Potentially other Jurassic Park things like the giant locusts, they could potentially be added. Things that are kind of small enough to not really justify a big DLC, but things that I think are worth adding. And those are potentially too hard to predict, but still really cool nonetheless. So stuff from my story DLC video could be added as free updates here, so certain aspects of that video could be added in free updates, so certain things. So watch that video if you want to see what other cool features I have in mind for those packs and what they could be in the free update as well. So yeah, really awesome. So we're going to be starting off with just simple. We're starting off with sandbox settings and quality of life. So these are pretty minor things, but I think they would be really awesome to add. So being able to play special buildings such as the Jurassic Park San Diego Amphitheater, the Mizrahi buildings, the Biosin Research Facility building, etc., etc. Those kind of things, be able to put them in whatever map you like. I think that would be rather awesome because it's such a cool building. And it'd be nice to have the amphitheater in like a tropical map and then things like that. But also being able to lead it in San Diego because it's kind of weird to have that just hanging around there. So being able to add those kind of bigger special buildings I think would be awesome. Another thing as well, I think that would be really helpful since we're getting a lot more scenery and things like that. Grid placement would be awesome. So being able to place things on a grid similar to Planet Zoo. So instead of just playing it freeform, you can actually match things up to a grid to make sure that everything is kind of aligned for people that want to play it in like 90-degree angles and things like that. I think that would be really awesome for people like that. Another thing as well is instant building and hatching. So this would be something for Sandbox. Instant building is obviously not a thing yet, though it can be sped up obviously with time. And we've already got kind of instant incubation. We've got like 10% speed. So I really hope that we get instant incubation and instant building as well. I think that would really like allow Sandbox just to be a little bit more fun, so we don't have to like run around and kind of do all these things. Another thing as well is mixed foliage. So being able to mix foliage from different eras, or not necessarily different eras, but different maps. So you could have the beautiful red and orange trees from Pennsylvania in like San Diego map, or even in the tropical maps or something like that. I think that would be really cool. Or even having the biosin trees in another map. So let's say like the desert map from USA, the Southwest USA, I think it was. I think that would be awesome. Another thing as well would be species viewer when selecting skins. So instead of having to go into the menu and kind of figure out which skins you want to play around with, being able to look at that menu from the hatchery would be really helpful for people that want to try and select different new species and things like that. I think that'd be rather awesome. And another thing I would really like to see is add more buildings to the Hyperloop system, or / expand the Hyperloop to other themes. So instead of just having your normal Hyperloop restricted to the Biosin kind of campaign stuff, I think it'd be really awesome to be able to connect different buildings, not just through paths, but through obviously the Hyperloop system and the obviously park tours, things like that. Really just creates more creative options. And then also if you want to have a park that's kind of have as minimal pathing and like minimal stuff as possible, so you can have more free roaming dinosaurs or just larger enclosures, that could be something that could really help with that. So you can kind of have your entrance there and then have a fence around it, and then you can have a Hyperloop going to your like shop area, for example, and kind of just do your thing around there. I think that would be rather cool. And one thing I'd really love that was in the first game, but not in the second one, unfortunately, was being able to slow time in camera mode. Because I find I take a lot of screenshots, and it's really hard to get the perfect screenshot when everything's moving at normal speed. If you're able to bring back that slow time from the first game, that'd be really perfect to get those really nice screenshots and something that really is beautiful. I think that would be really awesome. So yeah, we're going to move on to the next one. So this is what I got next. This is decorations. I put pars twice, but obviously I didn't really proofread this, of course. So these is kind of the things that's almost endless in possibilities. So you could add bins, statues, benches, new fences, new paths, kind of new everything. It really is almost endless potential there. So the possibilities, I say, is almost endless. So they could be added in groups. So for many updates, because we have that update update 2, that basically added 40 or so new decorations. If we got that another 2 or 3 more times, it's already like 80 to like 120 new decorations for the game. So I think that would be rather awesome, to be honest, and really just add a bunch of new things to really create our own dream Jurassic World or Jurassic Park and things like that. I think that would be rather awesome. And you add fences as paths, as you can see here. There's this really cool statue of not Dr. Hammond, Richard Hammond. I can't even get the names right. John Hammond. I was thinking Richard Attenborough, but no, it's John Hammond. With the dinosaur and the kid there patting it. That would be a cool statue to have. Some other kind of statues like that I think would be rather cool. Some bins as well would be cool. You could have like recycling bins, things like that, and fit them to the different themes. Also benches would be cool. Instead of just having just tables, you can have benches, things like that. More fountains, things like that. Really the possibilities are almost endless, as I mentioned. Also, we have here the fences and paths. I put here, this is kind of an exhibit for a bear or a tiger, something like a large mammalian predator, with this like kind of chain link look to it. I think that'd be really cool just to expand the options for fences, so we just don't have those large JP concrete or electric fences. Kind of add a little bit more variation to it. I think that would be rather awesome. So yeah, really, really cool. And also that short fence would be cool, to have a little fence that can go around like paths and things, because usually there's 2 fences to these things sometimes. But yeah, really, really awesome. So let's move on to the next one. So buildings and attractions. This is something I think that's been severely lacking in the game. So buildings and attractions is something that a lot of people, especially like Best and Salt and things like that, have been really asking for, because I think they really add a lot to the game. So we're going to be starting off with the kind of things that we've already seen in Jurassic World, and they can have JP versions as well, things like that. Really just to make it look a little bit more distinct. We've got here the golf course. This is actually a golf course that is about a couple hours away from me, down in Taupo, I believe, where I'll be moving hopefully soon. They've got like native animals like kiwis and take, but they've also got deer and stuff living in the golf course, and it's got a predator-free fence, so no rats and stoats and things can get into it, so it's safe for kiwis and take and things like that. A really, really cool thing. But that's a little bit of a tangent. I like going a little bit of tangent sometimes. But it's something like that, just a big area that looks like a golf course with green pastures and things like that, some lakes and things, that you just place down in a corner of a map. Even to make it a mini golf course, I don't care. I think it would be really cool just to have something that, instead of just looking like that big box building, just another thing to add some variation, and maybe even make it in the kind of style of like the buildings where you can change different things about it, and I think that'd be rather cool. Same things, botanical gardens. I just actually recently went to my local botanical gardens, and they have a thing called the Gondwana Arboreum. So this is kind of a thing that they have. It's really cool. It's kind of themed around dinosaurs. You know, kids and lots of people love dinosaurs. But it has plants that were quite similar to the ones that were around when Gondwana was a thing. So that's when New Zealand, Australia, Antarctica, Africa, and South America were all connected in one large supercontinent called Gondwana. And it had plants that were on that continent, and they also had rare endangered plants that kind of looked like those. So like things like Norfolk pines, New Caledonia pines, monkey puzzles, like acacias, things like that. Those kind of things, and I think it's really, really cool. You don't necessarily have to get a paleo version for that, but I think just having a botanical garden that seems very Jurassic Parky as another big thing to put on your parks, or put in your parks, I think would be really cool. So the next one we've got, this is a little bit more water. We've got the Cretaceous and Jurassic Cruise, Jungle Cruise, I mean. So this is kind of the JP and Jurassic World version of these. So the Cretaceous one would be for Jurassic World, and Jungle Cruise would be for Jurassic Park. So this would be being able to take a little boats. I doubt that we would put them as canoes in game. Maybe just like boats, very similar to how they are in Planet Zoo. You could have boats going around looking at different enclosures and have a new way of looking at them, which I think is rather cool. This eliminates the need for a fence, really, or you could put small fences, things like that, just to make sure that the dinosaurs don't really get in there. and hurt the guests, but something that would be really cool. And of course, JP Jurassic Park versions. It works similar to the park tour, and I think just really would add a lot, I think. So next we got gondolas. So gondolas, I believe, in the game should work quite similar. They're kind of like an alternative to the monorail, because the monorail is cool and all, but the track is like big and concrete and yuck. It's like putting that around your park is kind of almost intrusive sometimes, especially sometimes with the smaller maps. It feels really, really intrusive. So I think having the alternative, instead of having these big concrete pillars and rails, we can have something that's just held up by a few wires and a little dangly little gondola that goes around them. It doesn't feel quite so intrusive, and it's kind of a good alternative. It's just giving the player more choice. So instead of going around in your monorail, you can go in the gondola. It obviously provides good vision for the people looking down at the dinosaurs. It can be high up and just by poles and ropes, so it doesn't feel so intrusive to enclosures. Very similar, like in Zoo Tycoon 2, you have that monorail there. I think that would be rather cool. Even Planet Zoo as well, I'm pretty sure it's got that too. But I haven't really used it. But yeah, really, really awesome. And last but most certainly not least for this page, we've also got the roller coaster. So if you guys play Jurassic Park in the game, I've actually really wanted to play that for the channel. I'm a big fan of Jurassic Park, of course. Not the biggest fan, but I do enjoy it because I love dinosaurs. We got the Bone Shaker from Jurassic Park the game. I think that'd be really perfect for the Jurassic Park theme roller coaster. Then you could also have themes for the Department of Fish and Wildlife, though I don't really think you'd need one because it's not really a park. It's mainly just more zoo style. And Jurassic World, of course, because that's more theme parky. But yeah, having something like that, not necessarily the Bone Shaker, because I'm not sure how Telltale, even though Telltale's kind of rose like a phoenix out of the ashes, I'm not sure how they'd feel about people really using their things like that. But a Jurassic Park and Jurassic World version roller coaster, it doesn't need to be custom built. It can just be like doing its own thing. You could just plop it down, just take up some space in your park and really break up the monotony of all these little buildings and things. So I think that would be rather awesome. So this is only the second page. We've got another page of buildings and attractions that I think are definitely worth adding. So I don't think this would be all in one update. They could be split over different updates and things just to really be interesting. Next we've got the Gentle Giants petting zoo. So this is where in the movie where they had all the baby dinosaurs before they graduated to the park and lived with the adult dinosaurs. These guys kind of came and people used to hang out with them and chill with them, which is quite cute. But that only I can't even speak properly now. That means we'll have to have baby dinosaurs, as I'll get to near the end of the video. I think this would be a great way to potentially have you could have the cosmetic variants of the baby dinosaurs come out through here, and maybe even release them into the park, so you can have cute little baby dinosaurs running around with your adult dinosaurs. Kind of the lagoon hatchery version for just baby dinosaurs. And we've also got the Jurassic World Raptor Paddock. So very similar to the Jurassic Park Raptor Paddock. This is kind of that same version. It's really only a cosmetic thing, but I really like the shape of it. It's got that big hexagon with the big gate and the little area where people can go in and kind of put vehicles and put holsters and restrain the velociraptors if necessary. I think that would be rather cool. And you can see there's also some other things that are already kind of in the game here. We've already got kind of this already in some shipping containers. So something like that I think would be really cool to add. Another thing as well would be really cool to add, I think, is the Indominus Paddock. So this is kind of one of those bigger placeable things. It wouldn't really be used as an animal enclosure, though you could theoretically put it on enclosure. I think that'd just be really awesome just to have that, those kind of walls and things, and maybe even use it as a viewing potentially. Just however you implement it, I think that'd be rather cool to have that big area and just have something that looks like that, because it looks rather cool. Another thing as well would be the hidden viewing area. So this would be similar to the one from T-Rex Kingdom or the one from JPOG, that viewing dome. This is kind of something people have been asking about for a while, and I think it would be really cool to have. As you can see, the Jurassic Park one, you've got the guy standing on the top there with the gun there, and then you can see the glass here, so people can come and see the T-Rex come and feed. It'd be really cool to have different versions of that for... necessarily that version. That would be perfect for Jurassic Park version, maybe even the viewing dome. So you can have a little area similar to like in JPOG. You have the entrance, and then you have the invisible tunnel that goes under the ground. the invisible hidden there, and then you go into the viewing dome, so people can go in the enclosures and view the dinosaurs. And that would work even for big carnivores and things like that don't like the trucks. So I think that would be rather awesome. And last and certainly not least, I'm kind of meh on this idea, but a lot of JPOG people they're just really nostalgic for JPOG. I'm really not that nostalgic for JPOG, to be completely honest. But we've also got the balloon tour here, so you can have your Jurassic Park, Jurassic World theme, give them different colors, things like that. So you can have them flying around your park and being able to view your dinosaurs. I think that would be another very interesting addition. And especially for people that like JPOG so much. So yeah, this is the next one I've been really excited to talk about. We've got the aquatic updates. So this would be updating the lagoons and things, and all some things for the aquatic animals, just to maybe just really spruce it up a bit, because I honestly feel like the lagoons are kind of, out of the enclosure types, these are kind of the least expanded, and it'd be really awesome to have more different versions of things for these. So for the aquatic update, we get more feeders. So very similar to how you get the paleobotany things, and you can able to mix and match different plants, try and get the best combination for the animals in your enclosure. You get the kind of same thing here for the feeders. So you can get squid, sharks, shellfish. That'd be perfect for animals such as placodonts if they're introduced into the game. I think it would be rather awesome. But you can mix and match different combinations of these things and try and get the perfect combinations for the animals living in your lagoons. So if you have like Leopleurodon and Elasmosaurus living together, for example. I know they probably don't do well together, but this is just an example. You can kind of mix and match and try and find the feeders that kind of suit them, and they can eat their own thing, kind of like that. I think that would be very, very interesting. And also different types of viewing, so tunnel viewing, and then we've got from Jurassic Park the game as well, we've also got this marine like rotunda thing, the marine facility. So something like this would be really awesome for Jurassic Park version, kind of the Jurassic Park version of the lagoon, instead of having to lower it in. This is like an elevator that goes down here, and then you can walk around here and look at the Tylosaurus and whatever animals you put in here. Something like that is rather awesome, I think. You've also got the tunnel viewing. This is something that's quite common in most aquariums. In fact, my local aquarium, Kelly Talton's, was actually the first aquarium to do this, and I thought that would be a really cool thing, because this is quite a common thing in aquariums now, for people to go and walk through the tunnel and they could look up and see giant fish swimming around them. This would be perfect, I think, for smaller species, and even maybe if you reinforce a little bit bigger species, so you can go and walk under the enclosure and then you can see the big mosasaurs and elasmosaurs and plesiosaurs all swimming across atop of you. I think that'd be a really another thing, so people can draw them themselves. Add just a little bit more creativity. I think that would be rather awesome. Another thing as well, very similar to how the animals on land have their own needs, even the aerials have their needs. They're like more rock. They're like rock versions and grass and certain plants and things that they like, forests, things like that. I think having the decorations for corals and rocks and kelp for the lagoons would really help add a lot more creativity to it. So you could have an area where you can put the corals down and the kelp down and see what species like. I obviously had to put some coral here because coral is quite beautiful. And then you could also have, this is kelp I mean, and the corals from the, I had to put the prehistoric planet, because prehistoric planet is so awesome. I had to put the bit with the mosasaur from the first episode and all these corals here. This could be something really, really cool, and maybe you could like make mosasaurs like coral a little bit and things like that, and really just mix and match to create different enclosure looks for your animals instead of just having this basic lagoon. And then you can also mix and match it with different species. So some species will like more coral, some will like lagoon, more rocks, some will like more open water, some will like kelp. And you kind of mix and match and things like that and try and create the perfect enclosures for the animals that you have in there. So very similar to the feeders and things like that in that regard. Try and just more gameplay additions to try and make sure that the animals are happy and healthy. So very similar kind of things in like the original game already, but just expanded into the aquatics. Another thing as well, I thought about this because we got the Nothosaurus, and the Nothosaurus portrayed both in real life and in Camp Cretaceous, and it's the only animal. There's already been some reviews coming out. This is the only new animal in Camp Cretaceous Season 5. This is kind of the thing, it's kind of very much like a crocodile, or maybe even a monitor lizard. They're very adept swimmers, but they do come on and walk around on land sometimes, so kind of very like crocodile, monitor lizard-like a water monitor is probably a good example. So that brings up the question whether you want it in the lagoons or you want it in the land areas. So I thought, why not just combine the two? So you can put these in the lagoons as kind of like a little beach area. So lots of zoos, when they have animals such as penguins, sea lions, other seabirds, animals that need to come onto land to rest, for example, they will have a little beach area where the animals can come out. So this would be something that you can add to the side of the aquarium or the lagoon, just like you would for the lagoons or anything. So this would be a beach area that could be like rocky, maybe few different types of visual elements to it, just to mix it up a bit. But this would be perfect for the Nothosaurus. So the Nothosaurus can come onto this area. It can have its own like idle animations, like maybe scratching, looking around, basking, things like that. And you could have different ones. It's kind of like I kind of imagine it kind of similar to the first game where you have the looped animations. Maybe they come up and do the looped animation, come on, look around, maybe bask a little bit, and then head back into the water, things like that. So to swim around, something like that I think would be rather cool. And I think that not only works for Nothosaurus, but it could work for many future animals that could come, like Placodonts, for example. They're a really good example. And last but certainly not least, we've got the change watercolor. So I feel like in the lagoons, it's very hard to see the animals sometimes, and I think a lot of people agree. It'd be really nice to increase like the visibility, potentially even change the colors so you can have something that looks more bright and tropical, something that looks dark and cooler, and then even potentially something that's darker that looks like the deep ocean. I think that would be something really, really awesome. So yeah, that's it for the aquatic update. We've also got here the feeders. So this is something that's kind of been leaked, but I think this is something definitely worth adding. This kind of adds the same kind of gameplay elements, so having to mix and match different things to make your animals happy. It's the same kind of thing, but applied to carnivores. So you can see here we've got expanded carnivore feeders. So you can feed cows, chickens, deers, and rabbits, etc. You could add pigs, things like that. Just like, I imagine like 8 or so different things. That's just an example. Just different things for your animals to eat, and kind of different animals will prefer different things. You could say like Compsognathus might prefer rabbits, while Herrerasaurus might prefer chickens. T-Rex might prefer cows, and Giganotosaurus might prefer deers. Just an example, things like that. Then they have ones that they prefer, things they don't like, and maybe one's more fatty, one's more bony, and they like things that are really fleshy. Just things, for example, I think that would be really interesting. Just being able to expand that a little bit so you can kind of gameize and maybe get bonuses. Very similar to like in the first game, you get your paleobotany bonus. You can get your carnivore feeder bonus if you get all of your carnivores happy with what they're eating. I think that would be something rather awesome. And one thing I'd like to see as well expanded to this, I would like to see the herbivore feeders. So I imagine basically these would work like the paleo feeders from the first game. I really like this idea because you can really open up the enclosure. So instead of having to place the paleobotany things in the enclosure and they have to eat from them, this allows you to basically create the enclosure however you like and meet the animal's paleobotany needs or prehistoric plant needs from just the feeders. So this is both the tall feeder and the ground feeder. So this kind of just allows you to gamify a little bit, so you can have your enclosures look however you want, and the animals don't need to worry about their paleobotany needs. So you get the tall nut, ground nut, and basically put them in one little thing, so you don't have to put them in their enclosure. So I think that's something that's actually rather awesome. And one thing last, I want to be able to add herbivorous pterosaurs, because there's one pterosaur, the Tapijara, which should be Tubandactylus, as I'm going to keep saying. It's believed that these guys were most likely herbivorous, or at least frugivores, so they would be eating fruits and things like that. Just to add a little bit more diet variety to the pterosaurs, because they all just eat fish and goats and meat at the moment, which I find kind of sad. I feel like there should be some variety. Maybe even add like a shellfish feeder to the Domsodipterus, Donopterus, I believe how you actually say it. I think that would just make a little bit more variation of the pterosaurs and make that a little bit more nicer. So we're going to move on to the next one. So we've got the Dinosaur Improvements. So we've got a lot more Dinosaur Improvements here. So this is kind of the biggest one people have been asking for, is sauropod defense animations, because in the first game they could only be killed by the Irex, but now they can be killed by almost anything. Even they were killed by raptors before, which I find so silly. But sauropods are such huge animals with large tails and just their massive size and being able to rear up. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to defend themselves. And they should be able to defend themselves rather well instead of being these gentle giants. They should be able to slap a T-Rex with their tail and almost like completely injure them, potentially even like kill animals just with a swipe of their tail. I feel like that's something that desperately needs to be expanded, especially for the smaller sauropods as well. Because the smaller sauropods just get one shot at, especially like the Amargasaurus and the Nigersaurus. I think they really should just be able to defend themselves. And yeah, I think that's about it for the sauropods, like mixed defense animations. Next is mixed species herding and herding improvements. I think it'd be really awesome to be able to improve the herding a little bit, because I don't really see dinosaurs herding too much. You can kind of see it in Planet Zoo, some species that are mixed will be able to herd together, things like that. I think it would be rather awesome to be able to have dinosaurs of different species herd together and move around the park, especially if you've got a large area in your park with herbivores, even if you're playing like a very Site B-like mode and you try to walk around and the dinosaurs will be herding one go. Even in like the first couple movies, Jurassic Park 3, they're all moving in one big herd. There's Brachiosaurus, Parasaurolophus, and Stegosaurus and Triceratops all going in one go. I think that would be really cool to have that kind of mixed species herding and interactions, things like that. Maybe even multi-species interactions. I think it would be really cool. And one thing as well, I'd like more idle and species / group specific animations. So one thing I feel like that's kind of weird, that's not in the game yet, we've got one of the most iconic moments in Jurassic Park. We've got the Brachiosaurus rearing up on its hind legs. I'm surprised that's not in the game yet. I think that's really, really weird. It'd be really awesome to have that in the game. One thing as well would be tail whacking, going up beside each other and ankylosaurs whacking their tail together. It's kind of something that we know in the fossil record and could be a fun display thing. Other weird wacky displays for new and species already in the game, just to change things up, I think would be really fun, so etc, etc. That's kind of the things you could potentially add over time, not something in one big update. And second to last, we've got dung. So this would be different types of dung for different species. You can this is kind of very similar to JPOG. You could have like a big pile of poop for like the Triceratops, like in the first movie. Big ones for sauropods, small ones for Compsognathus and other small dinosaurs, just to add a little bit of life to the animals, and it's purely cosmetic. You don't necessarily need to clean it up. You just kind of let it do its thing. It's just kind of just something fun, because, you know, ooh, poo, funny. It's just something just to add a little bit extra, because why not? And we've also got the walking pterosaurs, because pterosaurs really only fly, and they eat, and they land. And animals in the game, such as Quetzalcoatlus, are very, very famous for being almost like terrestrial stork-like stalkers. So, yeah. It'd be really awesome to have that kind of thing going on and be able to walk around and do things instead of just flying around all the time. Especially for an animal that's kind of known for that. It's potentially the Astarids are really, really known for being those terrestrial stalkers. So yeah, this is kind of Dinosaur Improvements. Next we've got, this is something I think would be added as part of the DLC as well. We've got the feather genes. So this is something that people have been talking about, because there's a lot of dinosaurs in the game that should have feathers, or even like may have had feathers. So that includes animals like the pterosaurs. Pterosaurs are mostly known for having pycnofibers, which are quite similar, and some people even consider the same as feathers. But you could also have ornithomimids. We've even got T-Rex with feathers. So animals such as Quinsonosaurus, Quinzaosaurus, and Albertosaurus, and Proceratosaurus, or the pterosaurs, some of the raptors like Deinonychus. I think a lot of those could have really, really awesome feather variations, like their own design. So this would be a feather gene that would add pycnofibers to these species, so one of the mimids, pterosaurs, raptors, etc. So they can have their own feather genes and their own variants. This could be something added over time. I think it's just something that's very interesting, because I would really like to see feathered pterosaurs and more feathered dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, instead, not just getting relegated to these 2 or 3 that we're kind of getting in the 4 and the Dominion pack. But yeah, I think that's rather awesome. And maybe potentially we get like fur for the Lystrosaurus and things like that. I think that'd be rather awesome. Feather genes, I do like the feather gene. But last but certainly not least, we've got, this is something that's kind of the biggest thing I think people want to add, and that's breeding. So a lot of people think, oh, that's too much work for a free update and things, but I think, considering how important it is in the franchise, pretty much all the movies have something to do with breeding. Because the first movie, they worry about dinosaurs breeding. In the second movie, they have dinosaurs breeding and living their lives on Isla Sorna. So we have the baby Stegosaurus and the baby Tyrannosaurus. We also have, in the third movie, we have kind of baby pteranodons and things like that. That's about the dinosaurs living their lives, things like that. In Jurassic World, we have baby dinosaurs as well in the Gentle Giant's Petting Zoo, and they're obviously breeding them on Fallen Kingdom as well. We have baby dinosaurs. And even in Dominion, we have Blue, which is give birth to Beta, which is, she gave birth to her by parthenogenesis. So that means literally without a mate. So parthenogenesis is virgin birth. So this is, a lot of animals can do this. Sharks, monitor lizards, recently condors have been able to give birth via parthenogenesis, so basically just cloning themselves. So I think this is definitely a mechanic that is worthwhile adding. Whether this is part of a free update or paid, it's kind of something I can't really decide, but I think it's definitely something, considering how important it is to the franchise, it would be pretty awesome. And as I say that, it could be implemented in a few different ways. It could be like very similar to Planet Zoo type breeding, where you have a male and female that comes together, make babies, and a baby comes out. I think that might be a bit too involved, but the version I kind of have in my mind here is that you have your Gentle Giant's Petting Zoo as kind of a baby hatchery. So this is kind of has baby versions of each your dinosaurs and your pterosaurs and things like that. So this gives you like a little baby version, so cosmetic variants. So this has dinosaurs like the JP Jurassic Park versions for some of them, things like that as well. So they look like the juveniles. These are baby cosmetic versions that you can both have in your Gentle Giant's Petting Zoo, and then release them out into the wild, so you can have dinosaur herds with both adults and babies. So I think that would be probably the best way to do it. You can have different variations for different versions. You can have like a baby Jurassic Park T-Rex and a baby Jurassic World T-Rex, for example. Or baby, and different versions, just for different skins and different versions for different animals. I think that would be really interesting and create a lot of variation, and I think that would be definitely worthwhile. And I think as well, this may open up the door for male and female variation, because in the movies, of course, there are male and female versions, so kind of like the Bull Rexes or the Buck Rex and the Doe Rex, kind of things like that. Kind of opens up the door for male and female variations. Maybe particular skins can be males and females. This would be a great place to add the male Nasutoceratops, for example. I think that would be rather awesome. And yeah, just how can you not love cute baby dinosaurs? I love cute baby dinosaurs. It'd be really nice to have babies as well, and then maybe potentially have them hang out with the adults and do their thing. As well as being cute little babies and things like that. I just think that's such a big mechanic that people want that it's kind of a shame not to add it, but I understand that it's a lot of work. So I think the kind of cosmetic variant, like it's basically just a small version of the adult that you make from the Gentle Giant Petting Zoo that you can release into the wild as well, or release out into your enclosures. I think that's kind of the best way to do it, though. I think there's a lot of thinking, a lot of ways people could do this, and Frontier could do it in a way that's like least effort as possible, and potentially basically give us kind of what we want in a way that's realistic for them. Yeah, that's kind of the best way I can put it. But yeah, I think this is kind of the biggest and last thing I wanted to add. So thank you all for watching. So a lot of the content that I add in this video is based off my own ideas and looking at what the community wants. So the Jurassic World Evolution community, what they want to see. So if there's something that you want to see that didn't make it onto this list, feel free to leave a comment, and I like to see what people think, and maybe I might do a part 2 to these videos or something like that, and add like community suggestions if there's really enough worthwhile things, and maybe even do a dinosaur DLC pack thing, because I have got a list of potentially some cool packs, and I can come up with some cool selections for those, but I don't really want to do that right now. If I get enough views on this video, I think I will. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. Always remember to hit the little bell icon to get notified about anything. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.